Hello everyone and welcome to the 60X Business Show. My name is Kitumaini and together with my guest, we'll have different conversations about business, entrepreneurship and life. This is the show you've been waiting for. Stay tuned. In today's conversation, I have an amazing entrepreneur. He's the co-founder of Neza, which is an agribusiness company that specializes in hydroponics and greenhouse technologies. And in the studio today, he's none than Chris Irakoze. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Christian. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have on the 60X. So you'll be spinning the wheel,
Okay.
and then we will randomly select a number, and from there I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sounds like fun. Let's do it.
Wonderful. So
Yeah.
relax. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Over
Okay.
to you to spin.
Okay.
Let's hold the drums and see what's going to be your lucky number. What's your lucky number?
7.
Okay. Today you got 11. Wonderful.
Right, let's see.
Can you tell us more, who is Chris? Tell us about your entrepreneurship journey and how did you end up in horticulture?
Well, as you said, my name is Christian. I'm an agripreneur. I co-founded Neza, which is an agri-tech startup here in Rwanda. We focus on greenhouse growing and vertical farming, and we use a different method of growing called hydroponics. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now, about 3 years. And this is something that started sort of step by step. And actually, the inspiration behind the company, I was actually inspired by my brother, who's also an entrepreneur as well, but in the IT space. And one time we were having a dinner time conversation, and I was asking him, if he could start another business, what area he would go into, because I look up to him as an entrepreneur, and he mentioned agriculture, and from then we started having the discussions and seeing how or what kind of agriculture we could do in Rwanda.
Yeah.
And it was very, at least at the time, it was very, that's sort of how we went into agri-tech and hydroponics and vertical farming, because there were a lot of challenges that we were seeing in terms of space, in terms of the soil erosion, and in terms of just productivity. So that's why we decided to kind of, I slowly started getting into agriculture. Learning more about it and applying the technological side to it in order to overcome all of these challenges, because that's what technology does. It helps you solve challenges. So yeah, in short, it's a very short summary, but that's essentially how it all started. And yeah, I haven't looked back ever since.
So you have a background in technology?
Not by trade. I went to school. I majored in business admin and entrepreneurship, as well as psychology.
Wow.
But when I started working, I did work for a tech startup in New York, and when I moved back here in Rwanda, I was also working for an IT company. So there's a little bit of a tech background, but I'm also very curious and very passionate about technology as well. So there's a personal side to it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in the hydroponic technology. You're using automation in vertical farming and a lot of automated irrigation with your company.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, sure. So it's actually quite interesting. When I tell some people that hydroponics is growing without soil, they wonder how can you grow something without soil. But really what soil is the plants don't need soil, they need the nutrients in the soil, right? And hydroponics is essentially growing without necessarily using soil. You could use another medium, but finding a way to feed the plant roots with the nutrients that it needs. And there's several advantages to that. One of them is you prevent soil-borne diseases, and the other advantage is you can control every single input that you give to the plant.
Yeah.
And in agriculture, your outputs are equivalent to your inputs.
Yeah.
When it's in the soil, there's many advantages as well, but there's a lot of variables that you can't control. And with hydroponics, you're able to grow vertically. You're able to prevent soil-borne diseases. You're able to use less water, less fertilizer. Actually, the agriculture industry is the industry that uses the most water. So in short, that's what hydroponics is, and it's a practice that's been done for actually thousands of years, not just hundreds of years. So it's a very old practice. And in terms of automation, so in our greenhouses we have climate control and we have automated irrigation. And the reason we have that is because it just makes your job easier. I personally am not always in the greenhouse or at the farm, but because I'm able to control some of the variables and monitor them and add some automation, I'm able to do the work or the job without necessarily being there. And I'm able to also know how much water the plants have been getting, what the temperature may be in the greenhouse, how the humidity, what the pH. Okay, now I'm getting a bit technical, but the nutrient composition of all of that. So all of that automation and that monitoring allows you to be a bit more efficient. And there's actually a term for it. It's called precision agriculture. So in a sense, it's just a way to be more precise in your farming.
Wonderful. Yeah. What a fascinating technology. And it's really a game changer to agriculture at large. A lot of businesses in Rwanda are using hydroponics technology methods into their day-to-day irrigations or farming methods, or it's really something new that probably a lot of business in agriculture should embrace because you're using it and then it's playing in your favor?
It's still quite new. So it's not being done a lot on a commercial scale. However, there are operations that, for example, grow seedlings, nurseries, and in some of these greenhouses, they're really trying to use hydroponics because those beginning stages of a plant growth are very crucial. So it's slowly coming up, and I predict that in the next couple of years, it will be more commonplace. But hydroponics is just a means to an end. So you could perfectly carry out your agriculture using a soil, and even though there's advantages to it, there's also some disadvantages in the sense that it's a bit technical. But slowly and slowly people are getting into it, but it's on a commercial scale. It hasn't really been applied, at least throughout the whole country.
Wonderful. Let's spin the wheel for another round of questions. You got 11. What's going to be your next lucky number?
Let's see.
Pray for 7.
Hopefully I'll get a 7. Okay.
Is that a 10?
I think I'll have to spin again.
It's between 9 and 10. Can you spin again?
Okay.
This is so fun.
Yeah, it's like a Russian roulette, but with questions.
Oops, close to your 7. Yeah. So can you tell us, growing up as a kid, what were your dreams and passion?
So growing up as a kid, I was very much into basketball. I used to love sports. I think that's most kids. They're into sports and they want to, So at the time, that was my passion. That's what I really. That's all I could think about. I didn't really think of anything else. So I'd always dream about playing basketball.
Mm.
So as a kid, I would say that's what I thought of the most, kind of really being some kind of athlete,
Okay.
because I was very active. But I didn't think that I would ever be doing this. So this is not a childhood dream, but more so something that has happened.
Did you start practicing or being exposed to basketball back then to nurture some of the skills, or?
I did. My older brother, he
Mm.
was also very much into basketball,
Mm.
and as a younger brother, you kind of follow what your older brother does.
Mm.
And whenever he'd go play, I'd go play. Whenever he'd watch something, I'd watch it too. So that was really like my world.
Mm.
But even then, there's a lot of lessons that I learned throughout that journey.
Yeah.
That even up to today, I feel like they're quite relevant. Like just kind of.
What are those lessons?
Well, one, you have to be comfortable with. You have to embrace losing, and you have to take a loss in such a way that you learn from it,
Yeah.
and you do better. And it happens all the time in entrepreneurship. I have good days, but I also have some bad days. You get knocked down, you get back up, you adjust, and you just keep playing. You also learn. You keep having fun,
Yeah.
right? And you try to take a situation as a challenge, and not necessarily as something that's bad for you, but something that's going to make you better. But yeah, that's something from a very young age that was very ingrained in me, because I used to lose a lot to my brothers. So
Okay.
I had to learn quickly. So that's in terms of childhood, that was what I was really into. But yeah, some of those lessons I have carried over till today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. As you heard from Chris, when he was a young kid, he was always aspiring to be a basketball player, and then he started being exposed to playing with his elder brother, and there are some learnings that he acquired back then that even in his business today are useful, like learning how to lose, being able to adjust, and being competitive. I guess you're competitive in the market.
Yeah, very, very. Actually, yeah, being competitive. I think the competitive spirit was nurtured from back then. Definitely, that's where it came from.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is really amazing, and those are like important learnings that shape humans even from a young age. I would like to know, how does it feel being an entrepreneur?
It's a really good question, and it feels like a roller coaster.
Okay.
Like I said, you have some highs, some really good days where you feel like you're on top of the world, and then you also have days where you feel like, maybe you're drowning in a lot of work. Or you have a really big challenge, you don't know how to overcome it. So there's a lot of highs and lows, but it's a very fulfilling journey. And I guess one of the things that I've had to learn throughout the process is to just kind of stay balanced. So when I'm experiencing the highs, not to let it get to my head, and when I'm experiencing the lows, also not to let it get to my head, and kind of have a steady. But that's what it feels like, as compared to a regular job or something else. Because I've done both, so that's I would say that is my comparison. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's spin the wheel for another round of question. You got 6, 11. What's going to be your next lucky number? Likely you got your lucky number.
I got my lucky number.
Wonderful. Chris got his lucky number 7. And my question, we've seen these days a lot of people care a lot about their health. And part of your product offering, you sell your Moringa products, which includes specific teas. Can you tell us more about that? What's make your product unique? Because you also have an e-commerce functionality attached to your business where everyone online, they can order and the product can be shipped.
Thanks a lot for that question. So Moringa it's a superfood. It's probably one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. It has everything you could, look for. It has proteins, calcium, vitamins, and it's also very versatile food. You can have it as a powder. You can have it as a tea. One of the most, I would say, significant properties of it is it gives you energy. At least for me, from my experience, this is something that has actually helped me a lot, even in my work, because sometimes you spend long days. Maybe you haven't eaten all day and you need something to power through. It's an energizing food. It's an energizing food, and it's also a food that has so many benefits that treats many diseases like anemia, just because of its rich nutrient profile. And just to kind of give you an idea of how rich it is, the inspiration behind getting into superfoods was from a realization of one of the big problems we have in the country, which is malnutrition. So, about 38% of kids are malnourished in Rwanda. And I sort of had the idea to get into, to not just grow food as an agripreneur, but also grow nutrient-dense foods. Because we have a very starchy diet. We don't have enough of those minerals and vitamins. So not just growing food, but also growing nutrient-dense foods. And Moringa, on top of being very nutritious, it's also a tree that, for those who are going to hear this conversation, but it's a tree that grows easily, it grows fast, and it grows well in our soil. And it's also good for the soil as well. So it's the nickname of it is the miracle tree, because it has so many benefits, and it's also good for the environment. So yeah, anyone who's listening, please, if you're learning about this, please do more research and find out about how amazing this tree is.
Wonderful. Where can someone can someone just go to your website and make the order, and then it's going to be delivered, or there are other retail outlets where you currently supplying your product for?
So definitely you can go on our website and we'll deliver it to you. But there's also a few other locations that we've been selling it with some very gracious people, like Haute Basso Cafe. We also have the Health Hub in Gikondo. So there's a few places we're getting into. We're soon getting into Simba as well. So you'll most likely find it there. But yeah, you can always go on our website, and the good thing with our website is you'll even learn more about it. On social media, we try to talk more about it and all its properties. And even people who've taken it, they have very good testimonials. So definitely check it out.
Wonderful. That's amazing. As you've heard from Chris, go and check out their website and learn more about the Moringa product, which is very, very healthy and very, very nutritious. My follow-up question will be, what current markets are you currently supplying to? Are you only supplying to the local Rwandan market, or you also have some other market outside of Rwanda that you're currently supplying to?
So for now, we're supplying to the local market. We are soon going to be supplying to the export market as well, but there's a few. In order to supply to the export market, there's a few requirements that you have to meet, like certifications and minimum quantities. So we're still working on that part. But locally, we're supplying. We supply direct to consumer. We also supply to many hotels and supermarkets here. So that is our main market for now. But the goal is eventually to get into the export market as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
As you heard from Chris, currently they're primarily supplying to the Rwandan markets, but they're also planning to expand to also the regional markets. So let's spin the wheel for another round of questions.
Okay.
You got 11, 6, 7. And 2. So, can you tell us what is the future plan of your business? Where would you like to see your company in the next coming 5 years?
So in the next 5 years, it's a good question. So we don't just see ourselves as sort of an agri-tech company that's producing food, but we also want to be a knowledge center, because everything that we're doing now is innovative for now, but what we would also like other people to adopt the same methods, and we would like to be a knowledge center in the coming years where people can come and see how hydroponics works, or what it is to be what I call sort of like a plant factory. Because if you think of a greenhouse, it's a factory that produces food. And I've noticed that many times when it comes to agriculture, we don't really think of it like that. But we want to expand, and we want to expand by a scale of times 20 at least in the next 5 years. So not just growing many hectares under greenhouse, but also being a center where people can come see and even apply on a larger scale with more capital. And the idea behind that is, as a country, we are still underproducing, and in order to achieve our production goals, we sort of have to kind of, I would say, innovate as a whole, not just coming from just a few people, but in general. So that's where I see in 5 years what Ezaneza will be. Yeah.
Wonderful. That is an amazing plan, and I like the way you just describe it, and I'm sure with your dedication and passion toward getting things done, you'll basically reach that destination. And my follow-up question will be, can you tell us more who is Christian? What do you do apart from running your business? We'd like to know the human side of you.
Yeah.
What else do you do or drives you in life other than leading your team, running your company, and making money?
That's a tough question. I wasn't expecting that one. Maybe I should have spun the wheel a bit more. So who am I? Well, I'm a very curious person. I like to learn and discover new things, and I would say that curiosity is what has led me here. Because as someone who doesn't have directly an agriculture background to be doing all of this, sometimes people say, "Oh, how did you go to school for this?" So I'm naturally very curious, and one of my passions outside of agriculture is people.
Okay.
So one of my passions is understanding people, and this is something that I've always been fascinated by, and even in my business, this is also something that I apply a lot, because as a business person, people think it's just checks and balances, but you deal with people all the time. You have to deal with different characters, you have to deal with your employees, you have to deal with your suppliers. You also have to deal with yourself, your own psychology, whenever you're going through certain challenges or whatever. And there's a psychology in business that you really apply. And this is always like a lifelong lesson.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of emotional intelligence, because you deal with people a lot, and you have to carry that through your negotiations, and having the right relationships, it compounds. But in order to have those good relationships, it starts from a good understanding of human nature. So that's also something I'm passionate about. Other than that, I just talked about what I'm passionate about. I'm 20. How old? I'm 28. That's my age. I love basketball. What do I do in my free time? I try to read every now and then, go work out. But yeah, I'm just a simple, very curious guy. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
The way you talked about the people,
Yeah.
and do you think that your background in psychology
Yeah.
help you better understand and connect with the people?
100%, 100%, and that's even as a business person, I would say, that's my biggest area of competency. It's a very underrated skill, knowing how to deal with people, knowing how to talk to them, knowing how to move them, or because there's different things that make you tick. So knowing how to, okay, what is this? How can I get this person to do this? Or this person, I need to close this deal. How can I approach it?
Yeah.
So it's a very underrated skill, and not just from the inside going out, but also from the inside as well. Kind of understanding your own weaknesses and your own emotions to help you navigate through business. It's a very powerful skill, and it's very underrated. Definitely it has helped me get to this point.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is really amazing.
Yeah.
And I would like to know, as a young entrepreneur, what are like top 3 learnings you've acquired during the growth of running your business that enable you to reach where you are now?
Top 3. Okay. The first one is to be dedicated to the process. And to be dedicated to have a goal, but to not be dedicated to that goal, but rather to the process that's going to help you achieve that goal. And this is something that I constantly have to remind myself as well. And that's one of the lessons that I've really had to learn, to just dedicate yourself to the process, whatever that process is. And the other thing is to just do the small things, right? Start small, because a business is a big operation, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who have dreams and ideas and things they want to do, but they haven't gotten around to do them because there's so much to do. But to just start small, every day put one foot in front of the other, and as time goes by and you look back, you realize, I've done all of this. Yeah. So to just start small, and just focus on the small wins. I would say that's number 1. Number 2, and the third thing I've learned in business. What is it? I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, because there's so much I've learned. But I would say, coming back to the previous point, is to just to partner with people, right? To work with people, because life is people. Wherever you're gonna get to is gonna be because someone opened the door for you. Someone gave you an opportunity, right? Like me coming on this show, someone could see this and I get an opportunity. So to work with people as much as you can, and not think that you can do it on your own. Kind of like, I'm self-made. That's not realistic. So just work with people and partner with people, because wherever you get to, it's going to be because someone opened the door for you. So those would be the 3 things I've learned, not just learned, but I'm still learning, for sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Some of the key things that I picked from some of your top learnings are start small. In this business journey, every action you put every day, it's very, very important to help you move ahead. And also your network is your net worth. Partner with people, because your customers are the best investors in your business. Build your customers around you that will continue buying your product. Build a good partnership that will elevate you and push you ahead. And those are like important learnings. And let me wrap up this conversation with my last question. If you could start over in business and make money, what business would you start and why?
Oh, that's the easiest question you've asked. If I could start over again, I would definitely do this, but I'd probably even start sooner.
Okay.
While I'm still in school, or I'll get into the agricultural business and start as soon as possible. So anybody who's hearing this, and this is definitely a great space to be in. It's challenging, but there's some tremendous opportunity here. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
As we heard from Chris, to all the young entrepreneurs, all the young people out there, please go and venture in agriculture. It's really an amazing field. There is a lot of opportunities, especially new innovation that you can bring on board.
Oh.
So,
I'll also get into Bitcoin as well.
oh, okay. Okay, check out Bitcoin as well, which is also booming. And there is also loads to learn about that. So check and learn before jumping, before getting into that.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end of this conversation, and my guest was Chris Irakoze, who is the co-founder of Ezaneza. Thanks a lot for making to the show. We are coming to the end of this conversation, and my guests in the studio today was Chris, and we were discussing a lot about agriculture, about the hydroponics and the greenhouse technologies that they use in their business. The conversation continued on social media using the hashtag 60xbusiness. Remember to tag me. My handle is at Christian Kitumaini. Till next time, remember to wear your mask, wash your hands, and be safe. And I see you down the road.